Welcome to another episode of In Conversation, where we slow things down, talk life, work, and everything in between. Today on the brand edition, we're stepping into the world of public relations, an industry that often works behind the scenes but plays a powerful role in shaping how people, businesses, and brands are seen by the world. Joining us today is Sinomso Ngcepe, a PR senior account manager and media relations specialist who has built her career in communications, brand storytelling, and reputation management. From studying public relations, advertising, and applied communication to working across media relations, digital marketing, and crisis management, her journey offers valuable insight into what it really takes to build and protect a brand. In this conversation, we unpack what PR actually looks like in practice, how businesses can build strong relationships with the media, and why storytelling is at the heart of every memorable brand. If you've ever wondered how brands get featured in the media, how reputations are managed, or how someone builds a career in public relations, this conversation is for you. Sinomso, welcome to In Conversation.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Tepi. It is an absolute
Awesome.
pleasure.
So Sinomso, we get to, before we start talking about the work you do, can you tell us a bit about who Sinomso Ngcepe is beyond the title?
Sinomso Ngcepe is a mom, and is a partner to a wonderful human being. And overall, she's a sister, she is a friend, she is a lover, she's somebody that loves life, someone that's very bubbly, very talkative, very out there. Some people may say I'm strict. But I just believe that I'm someone that loves structure, and obviously with structure, there's discipline. With discipline, there's respect. So I'm literally that type of a person. So that's just me outside work. I'm a mom, I'm a partner, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm a lover, I'm all of that. Everything that encompasses what a human being could
You
be.
sound like a cool person. So are you a boy mom or a girl?
Wow, I am a boy mom and I'm also a girl mom. I'm quite blessed. I have a
Yeah,
bit of
that's
both
awesome.
worlds.
That means after this you are.
Yes. Oh my God. Hi. Yes. Yes, I am.
So I would like you to take us back to the beginning. What first sparked your interest in public relations and communication?
I think originally I actually wanted to be a psychologist. I am very big on understanding people's perspective, understanding how people think. I'm very big on grounding people into, you know, sense, if I may say. So how I got into public relations is that when I was done with matric, I'd gone back home for the holidays. And because I don't know what was happening at that time, I actually came back to Pretoria very late. And by the time I wanted to apply for psychology, applications were closed. But by God's grace, a friend of my mom's had said that Rosebank College still has applications open. However, they do not have psychology. So we went to inquire and I said to them, you know what? I do understand that what I want is not here, and it is my fault, so I can't really complain. What would you guys suggest that I can take that is a bit similar to psychology? And that's when a very good brother of who's still a brother of mine even till date, his name is Tabang Maboba. I think he still works for Rosebank College. He sat me down and he showed me what public relation is and what it entails and said, you know what, I think you might actually love it. And you have no idea, I have fallen deeply in love with public relations. I still say he was an angel because he actually gave me what has made me who I
So
am
one would
today.
say public relations actually chose you. You didn't choose public relations.
Technically, I like that.
So earlier on you mentioned that after matric you moved back home. Were you in boarding school or what was going on?
No, so I went back home to visit for the holidays. So when I say home, this is where I grew up. I grew up in the Eastern Cape, and when doing grade 5, I moved to Bronkhorstspruit, which is on the north side of Pretoria, because now my parents had actually bought a house this side. But Wakoko will always be home. So when I mean that I went home, I went for the December holidays to go visit the granny, the cousins, the aunts, and
Okay.
everybody
So can
else.
you speak Tsotsi, the Pretoria language?
Yeah, Kimana 012. Yes. And it's funny because it's also evolving. So what I know, how we spoke back in the years, I tell you not, the terminology is quite different to what it is now. Re khona Frestanano and Tlalohanya, I can take it from your lingo that when I was 012, Ungwana Pitori. So definitely, I spent
Yeah,
most of
now
my
I
years
can
in
tell that
Pretoria.
you're from Pretoria from the. As looking back now, what are some things you wish someone had told you about the PR industry while you were still studying?
I think the biggest shocker is that theory is definitely different than practicality. What I mean is that what we've studied was yes, it was like gas into this engine. However, it was not the car that we were supposed to drive. You understand? So you get and you learn and you study theory, but the theory that we studied back in the day, I mean, this is 2019, 2020. When you come and you try to apply it practically, it is a good thing to have, but it was totally different. So I wish that even the modules back in the day, yes, we had what we call as a well integrated module where you actually go, this is on your last year of public relations, you go practice public relations at a certain company that offers PR, and then it's part of your marks and subjects. However, I wish every stage of public relations in varsity had practicality into it, because it is a shocker. It is totally different. What you learn at school, the theory, you're given soft skills. And when you need to apply it, it encompasses 20% and 80% is practicality, of which we did not have much, when we left school. And I've seen a lot of PR students coming out now and getting into the work place. They do have some of the practical things that they actually will be doing in their work space. However, I feel like when we completed school and when we did PR, we did not have much of it. So it was a bit of a shocker, when we came to actually practice public relations, even penetrating the market. I know for a fact that I could not leave with my certificate from varsity and actually go apply for work. I needed solid experience, and best believe I started inquiring experience at call centers because I needed to understand how to build rapport. I needed to understand how to deal with different stakeholders. In this case, it would have been customers at the call center. So I wish that we were given a lot of those. And I mean, Rosebank College did try. They used to have this career hub type of thing. I think they still do have it. And every now and then they would train you on how to go into interviews, how to represent yourself. But I just wish that it pressed and focused more on the practical world of PR. Do a masterclass where you invite a PR professional, do a masterclass and actually give those students that education. Get someone that's going to tell them how their day to day looks like. Do you understand? I think if we had that back in the day, it would have really, 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 really assisted us in knowing what we're stepping
Okay.
into.
So when you were still a student and when you were studying as a graduate, between the two was quite challenging for you, or you found the transitioning quite.
My student life was great. I had great lecturers. I had a great college. There was Rosebank College is a beautiful place to be. I love how everything is wired. I love the work that they do in terms of lectures to ensure that they equip you with knowledge the best way they know how, right? I think for me, the challenge was transitioning now because, like I mentioned, that when you leave college or varsity, you have this understanding that I'll just provide my certificate along with my CV, along with my well integrated work experience, and I'm gonna be taken, right? But best believe penetrating even intern level, it was a bit challenging because I think I spent a year and a half in call center, and just one faithful day and you apply and you get these rejections. And I think it is also by God's grace. One fateful day, I got a response from Flume Digital Marketing. At that time, they still had PR infused in their agency. And that's when I started off as an intern. Best believe it's not that it was the first time applying. I've had applied before, in that agency, but penetrating the market with no experience that they require, it was a bit challenging and difficult. But you get in there and you find seniors that are willing to actually teach you, show you the way. I mean, I only speak on Refilo Makamedi, who's actually has her own PR agency now, and I only speak on Mwekezi Mukoteli, who is in
No.
comms now at Anglo America.
So what
Okay.
skills from okay, what skills from university turned out to be the most useful in your career?
For me, I'd say understanding how communication works and the science of it. The reason why I say this is that we had a module that was named Communication Science. And this module was taught by a very amazing human being, one of my favorite lecturers, and her name was Millicent Mavimbela. Wonderful lady, I tell you. And this communication science had a model of some sort. So the model encompassed of encoding and decoding. It's decoding and encoding, right? When you decode, it's how you speak to someone, right? And then when a person encodes, it's what they receive from you. So it made us understand that you may decode a message, and along its way, there could be certain noises like disruptions or someone that passes the message incorrectly. And then how the person ends up encoding the message might not be what you meant or how you wanted to say it, right? And this model also encompassed how you speak to specific audiences. So you know that you would not speak to a millennial how you would speak to a Gen Z. You know what I mean? So I think for me, one skill or module or something that I've learned in varsity that works for me till date in my career will definitely be communication science. Miss Mavimbela, wherever you are, you've done a wonder. You've done a wonder, man, because it matters and you apply it throughout everything you do when it comes to PR. How you pitch to media, how you draft a press release, how you interact on a daily basis with your colleagues and even with clients. How you go out there and you pitch for interviews and you take your client through that process. Everything PR encompasses how you communicate. And if you understand the science of communication, then you're set for life.
So let's say a person is shy, ne, like me. So can they do PR or it only wants people who are talkative?
Always believe that not necessarily. I think more of if you love it and you're passionate about it. Because PR not only going out there and making noise. There are times where you're sitting down and you need to draft a strategy. You need to write content that needs to go out to the media. You need to write briefing documents. You need to write the PR plans, that you need to put together. So I know people look at PR as if all we do is talk, talk, talk. It encompasses communication, yes, but PR is very broader. It has a broader aspect to it. So as long as you love it, you will be able to do it. And if you are an introvert, it will need you to step out of your comfort zone a little bit in terms of communicating with clients, having to pitch for interviews, having to pitch for your stories. However, as long as you have the passion and love for it, I don't think anything will limit you. But if you go into it and you don't have a choice, you go into it because, oh, it's the only thing available, or people said it's nice, but you don't have love and passion for it, it is going to kill you. It is going to drain you because come crisis and you're doing a crisis calm and it's a.m. in the morning and Nigeria decided to go into crisis, you're going to be frustrated because why the hell are you up at 2 a.m. working? You know what I mean? But when you love it, you're like, definitely, I'm here for it. I can be up until 5 and wake up at 7 and go to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So from what you just said, now what I'm hearing is that, and based on you, what I'm hearing from you on how you are, PR specialist needs to be able to articulate themselves quite well because you articulate yourself quite well too. So
Oh,
for me,
thank you.
I don't think Hey, I would survive in that industry. I don't think I would survive.
You'd never know. You'd never know. You'd never.
So for someone who has never worked in PR, what does a typical day in your life look like as a media relations and PR professional?
So I think that a typical day will also differ whether you are an intern, an AE, an AM, a director, so on and so forth. But in a nutshell, PR is getting in the morning and there is a brief. Client wants to communicate, the importance of financial wellness, the importance of having a financial advisor, no matter what age you are, you need to be able to think out of the box and understanding how do I raise awareness of what this client wants to communicate to their audiences? What tools do I is it interviews? So you need to structure that in your head and then you decide, okay, there's going to be a press release. And this press release, I'm going to send it out to the media. What type of media am I going to be sending this press release out to? Is it lifestyle? No. Is it business and finance? Yes. Is it publication that speak more on personal finance? Yes. And then you make those contents because once you step into the industry, you need to build relationships with media so that you know who's who, you know who to call and when and how. You understand the beat they write for in terms of the stories they cover, etc. You also understand the media landscape as a whole in terms of the radio, the TV. On ENCA, which shows plays at this time, and will this show that plays at this time be suitable for the information and client that I'm trying to, put on TV? So you draft all that, you draft what we call as a media list. This media list is technically a list of media that you'll be talking to who will help you, send who will help you publish this press release. It's also the media that will help you have those interviews on TV and radio. And then in some instances, you are drafting content. If you're a good writer, you write the press releases, you write the profiles, you write the briefing documents. And depending if maybe now you're stepping into account management, you also put together the PR plans for clients. And it's very important because also remember, when you come to PR, we have brand PR and we have corporate PR. So these two differ. Corporate PR, it's more serious. It's more firm. You're looking at profiles, you're looking at speaking opportunities, you're looking at interviews, you're looking at press releases, opinion pieces, etc. And then brand is broader. You're looking at events, you're looking at lifestyle people. So, that's how it differs. So, even how your day goes about will also depend on the client that you are currently handling. And yeah, I think that's how a typical day would look like. It's media relations, it's content. And if you are in crisis com, you always need to be, on a lookout. You need to always be ensuring that your client's reputation is still going smoothly. So yeah, I think that's how for me, my experiences as starting from intern to where I currently am, that's the experience that I've actually walked through.
So how much of your work involves strategy versus execution?
Man, everything involves strategy. Everything involves strategy before it becomes execution. So, for an example, if a brief comes out, right, you get the brief, and obviously, if a client gives you a brief, you need to revert to client to say, this is what I'm going to do, because a client had an idea or you had an idea. So, how are you going to make sure that that idea becomes live? You do strategy. Your strategy will also encompass a PR plan, you understand? So before anything else becomes execution, there needs to be a strategy behind it. So I think for me, I'd like to believe, and please, PR people, I beg to differ. But for me, I think everything encompasses a strategy because even in terms of reactive crisis calm, you need a strategy on how you're going to approach um certain crisis that just hit. So everything begins with a strategy, it is put into a plan, and then it goes to execution.
Okay. So what part of your job do you personally enjoy the most?
Enjoy everything. I guys, People literally think I overdo it or I'm a pick me when I talk about my job. I love my job from A to Z. I love the hard moments. I love the challenges. I love the happy moments. I holistically love PR as a whole. But if I were to choose one, it would be media relations. Interacting with those different souls, oh my God, it is amazing. Being inside and understanding the media landscape is amazing. Having to conversate and learn about how different media houses work and how these can best suit your client, it is amazing. Because with media, I do not want to lie, we deal with amazing people. And I always say, PR personal's job is as easy as their connection. Because without your media relations connection, who will write your story? Who will place your story? You understand? So I think building those relationships, making a name for yourself and knowing them and trusting the media partners that you work with for me is amazing because you also get to see the world in a different perspective. I know what I would do sometimes with my media partners is that, listen, I have a story. And I know what you cover. I've listened to your recent shows or I've read a press release that you've recently covered. I don't think mine is quite there, but let me know how we can, what newsworthy angle can you try pull from it? You understand? So in that manner, their information to you is also educating you for the future. So you know that, all right, if I feel like my angle is not necessarily strong enough, how do I make it newsworthy enough so that it can be suitable for that tier one media outlet that I promised the client? So I think I love my job holistically, but what also supersedes or maybe leads would be media relations because I get to interact with different people. So yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you love your job. So I want us to clarify something. You spoke about connections. I don't want people to think maybe you're talking about that back in the Woolworths black bag thing.
No, you're not talking Mazanga. Clarify that, people. It's not the Mazanga ad hoc situation here. These
Yeah.
connections simply mean relationships that you build with the different people in the media. We do not have, listen, one thing about South Africans media space, as far as I would love to believe, they have very ethical journalists. They have very ethical reporters. They have very ethical producers. The connections to Madlanga are a huge no in our beautiful industry. We're talking about having a relationship that you've built with a specific media partner, and it's a ina ete. I love to say that our media relationships are ina ete. You give me a story that is that my audiences are interested in. It's information that the audience that I write to speak to. So you give the journalist that story, and in return, they give you coverage that the client looks for. So it's inner ete. Do you understand? You give, I give. No one just takes. So those connections mean relationships, solid and sustainable relationships that you build in the media space.
So okay, when you guys collaborate with journalists, the stories they tell, what do you mean by that? Do you like write something for them and then they read the teleprompt and see it?
No. So how it would work is that maybe you have a press release that you have drafted, right?
Yeah.
Let's say for an example, safety tips to look out for this festive season, or safety tips to look out for this winter season, because we've seen how inconsistent the weather has been, for an example, right? So now we're looking at if there's thunderstorms, how do you keep safe at your home and even like on the road with your car, etc. Right? So that's what you're going to draft and you're going to send it to the journalist. Some journalists do write it, but include the information that you've given them depending on the setting. But some do publish the press release as is, because it is newsworthy to their readers. It is newsworthy to their audience. It is newsworthy to the target that they specifically write for. So that's what they don't read. Even with interviews, a producer or a presenter at that point will ask a question that they feel like their audiences that are listening need answers to. And we, as PR people, we just prep you as a client and give you possible questions that can be asked. However, a presenter will ask what they would like to ask. Some presenters will do take questions just for prep purposes, but we always make sure that we do not want interviews that sound scripted. We want, when you go in as a client, we want you to be relatable. We want people to understand that you're credible. You relate to them. That's why you're giving them this information, because you want them to know it's important to them, if I'm making sense.
Okay, now I understand. Okay. So, public relations is a term many people hear often, but not everyone fully understands it. From your perspective, what exactly is PR and why is it important for a brand?
Public relations is brand awareness. Public relations is reputation management. Public relations is oh my God, yes, it's awareness, is ensuring that you are credible as a brand. And unfortunately, public relations is always an afterthought in most cases. But public relations for me is the reason why you know of something. Public relations for me is a reason why there is momentum, in the country. Public relations for me is why that there's a Coca-Cola, there's a KFC. You understand? We build brands and we communicate brand narratives. We give you thought leaders in industries who can be able to advise you, educate you, and teach you of their product. You understand? For an example, um, you would not know, for an example, if you're growing, right, and you're still young, homonadi, you're in varsity, you don't care if you have to save or not. Like, you're just bowling, you understand, you're spending money. But then now we're making you aware that, listen, there are brands that deal with financial advice, financial planning. There is a specific person that is able to talk to you because they are a thought leader in that industry. They've done this for so many years and it has worked for so many years. That is why you need to hear them out when they give out advice. Am I making sense? So
Ah,
public
yeah.
relations is everything, is why certain brands exist. And it's why you understand certain brand narratives, who they are, what they stand for, what their values are, and what they can give you. How do you as a customer benefit from interacting with the specific brand? And people think PR is a do today and result tomorrow thing. No, PR is a long-term thing. You need to build trust. You need to build credibility. That is why PR is not a do today and then results tomorrow thing. You understand? So
Yeah.
I think it is very important for brands, because when crisis hits or when your reputation is tainted, then you are in deep waters. When people start tagging you and calling you out on the socials, you need PR. When you need to attend an interview to try and explain to people what happened with your product or your brand, you need PR, because we need to media train you. We need to be able to let you know this is how you address your audience. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So every brand does need PR in order to build credibility, in order to mark your place, against your competitors in the industry that you're in. So I think public relations is very, very important. People look at public relations and think, oh, it's all fun and games. Oh, it's so easy to do. 2 or 3 events. Guys, no, public relations is a real thing. We do magic behind the scenes. That is why you get to love this beautiful brand and see these amazing brands, because of the work that PR personnel do behind the scenes.
So, how is PR different from marketing and advertising?
And I would say that you need to understand that public relations moved on purposefully earned basis. What I mean by earned is that we do not pay for anything. We persuade, we motivate, and we pitch. So that is the hard work. And then they do eventually work together, but we build reputations, like I said. We ensure that you are credible, as much as marketing and advertising will also do that. But I think for me, how I would like to differentiate ourselves is that advertising won't necessarily go down and write their own content. They won't necessarily go down and actually prep you, media train you. And please, advertising people, don't come for me. Just tell me, Sino, you're wrong. Don't kill me. But from my understand, I'm not advertising, guys. I'm PR, okay? So please don't kill me. But my understanding is that with everything in terms of advertising, it's paid for. It works with leads, it works with cost per unit, it works with reaches, etc. You understand? And then with market, I also think it works with leads in making sure that you drive sales into that specific product. Do you understand? I may not be so much marketing and advertising, but PR does not drive sales. PR works on who you are as a brand, your awareness, your reputation, how people perceive you. You understand? Are you credible enough? Can people trust you? Do you really deliver? And then we also come with crisis comms. We fix a mess. I mean, we are all human, guys. Everything becomes a mistake every once in a while. But that is where crisis comms comes in. Crisis comms has an umbrella of what? Public relations. Media relations has an umbrella of what? Public relations. Speaking opportunities of being selected for awards has what? An umbrella of public relations. Do you get what I'm saying? And not to say that advertising marketing do not go out there for awards. Best believe me, they do, because marketing and advertising also does absolutely amazing and beautiful work. But we move solely from an earned perspective. We do not pay anyone to have anything out. We motivate, we persuade, and we pitch. So we get a beating because, money make the world go round. But yeah, we move solely from an earned perspective. So I think that would be what differs in terms of marketing, PR, and advertising.
So, have you seen, but again, there's Red Bull social media page, Instagram page. Have you seen how it's set up? No, I just wanted to ask you something. Based on how they post their posts, they don't sell Red Bull, but they sell, I think, experience and what, and that thing. They show, how can I put it? Yeah, they don't sell Red Bull. They don't advertise Red Bull. They just show the events they do and everything. Is that part of PR or is it something different?
So this would sit under their social media and content team.
Uh,
Yes, yes. So even with remember guys, even with organizations are different departments. And different departments have their specific people who perform certain duties, right? But I would love to believe that the social media accounts will sit with their social media team or content hub team or content team, depending on how they phrase it internally. Please, Red Bull people, don't beat me up. I don't know how you guys phrase it. But yes, I think that the social media team would be responsible for their socials. And I think one thing that Red Bull understand and gets is their market and their followers. So they understand exactly what to communicate to you, how to communicate it to you, when, you know. But that's why I'm saying marketing, advertising, social media, all of these things work together. They work simultaneously together for the good of the brand. So I think PR's responsibility in this case would have to, if there is a need for a press release to go out, they would draft a press release around a certain event that's going to happen, if there is a need, depending on how internally they look at things. And then there could also be a media junket whereby they do interviews for maybe one of their drifters, and push that drifter in terms of profiles and interviews. Then they can do a media junket where that drifter is able to talk to different people, and then that gets published. So that would be the role of PR.
oh, okay, I know what PR is all about. Now I understand. So, why should businesses invest in PR rather than rely only on social media or ads?
I think invest in PR because, most importantly, I will go back, and I think I've been saying this, 100 times, for awareness purposes. Yes, social media drives the clicks. Social media does also bring out our awareness in all its form. But I think PR is very important, especially when it comes to reputation. And when you are a brand or a company, you want people to know you, even in 10 to 15 years to come. And you want people to understand, you don't want people to interact with your brand just for vibes. And please, I'm not saying that that's what the social medias and whatnot do. I'm solely speaking on the PR spectrum, right? You do not want people to just interact with your brand for vibes. You want people to understand exactly who you are and what you offer. For an example, you just mentioned that when you look at Red Bull social media pages, I was actually looking at it while we're talking now. Beautiful, beautiful Instagram. Big ups to the social media team that's currently handling it. You guys are doing great there. You say that they're not selling, they're not selling anything. They just advertising their events, when, where, and how. But then who talks to the media and invite them to these events? Do you know what I'm saying? Who answers the Q&As that people might have regarding a certain person or an athlete or the drifter or these people that do shy mode, etc.? Who profiles these thought leaders? Do you understand? How do people get access to who Red Bull is, what Red Bull offers apart from product at this point? But Red Bull as an organization, you know, you guys trust, and you love Red Bull because of the news you've seen about Red Bull, the TV interviews that you've seen about Red Bull. So I think for me, to build credibility and ensure that your reputation is good, is maintained, is known and perceived very clean and great by audiences, you need public relations, people who also gonna feed into strategies, how to make sure that you are out there, and how you're competing against your competitors, because Red Bull also does have competitors. We're looking at Dragon, we're looking at Reboost, we're looking at Play, we're looking at Powerade. How do you differ from that? I think that is why every brand will need public relations. I mean, we're here for you guys. We want to see you doing your thing there on TV and being great at what you do, because you are actually that thought leader of the specific industry. You know exactly what you're talking about, and you know exactly what your audiences need to hear so that they understand you more. The more, whether you like it or not, the more you appeal to people, the more people understand you, even with the nitty gritties, the more comfortable they become with you. The more they can
Yeah.
engage with your brand.
So,
Yeah.
reputation management is a major part of PR. What are the key ingredients that help a brand build a strong and trustworthy reputation?
The key on how they can build a strong and trustworthy reputation is what I'm saying. Have positive things that go out there. People must know you for the positive brand that you are. And in cases of crisis that happens, you must know how to handle it. You must give consumers answers to their questions. Do not beat around the bush. Do not deflect. Do not be defensive. Do not be dismissive. Communicate with your target audiences. We're looking at different case scenarios, the noodle scenarios where it was alleged that there's certain ingredients or certain things that were found in some of the noodle packs. Such things, you need a team that will be able to guide you through that process. I always say that at the end of the day, whether I practice public relations or not, I am a customer. And as a customer, I know exactly how I would love to be addressed. I know exactly what transparency looks like from the other side. I know exactly what honesty looks like from the other side, which is very important when it comes to crisis and solving a crisis that just hit. But most importantly, I'd rather say when it comes to crisis, always be proactive than reactive. You watch how things are moving. If you saw a mention nyana or one post nyana somewhere, watch that deliberately and monitor it, because you want to make sure that you attend to it before it becomes a huge social media spectacle. So I think crisis comms is a very very, 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 very important factor to consider when you're doing public relations, because anything can happen. and you need documents in place. You need to understand how does the process work. You need to understand how do you deal with your media, because best believe media also works with clickbait. Whatever is interesting and is current and it just has broken the internet, it will break South Africa and media will capitalize on it. How do you deal with those processes? How do you engage with your media partners to say, listen, here is a statement, here is what we're saying. Please take it. Please include it. Please, manage it. So always be proactive rather than reactive. And sometimes situations do force us to be reactive and we don't see a crisis coming. For an example, if it ever happens that people don't see a crisis coming, you need to be on top of your game in making sure, because once a crisis hits, a business stands to lose quite a lot, not only financially, but in terms of loyalty, the customers that they've been serving for many, many years. Building trust can take a long time, but losing it can take a split second. So that is why reputation management and crisis comms is very, very important.
Yeah, that one was.
Yeah, it was.
What are some mistakes brands make that damage their?
And interestingly, I was at a very beautiful workshop of a client of mine today, and they were talking against long-term strategies and short-term strategies, like in terms of, they made an example of Nokia, your Blackberries, your Alcatel, where they right to have stuck to their ways as they have found it themselves and came to the public, or did they have to jump onto trends, and it was just like a very insightful and very informative debate that we had, which actually, gave me a totally different perspective. For me, I'd say that know your customer base, know the brand that you are, and know who that brand talks to. Not everything trending is something that you have to jump on. So I'd say that just because you want to be relevant, but you need to also look at who you're speaking to. If you're jumping on a trend, will this entice your audience? Will this entice your customers? You understand? Will this even entice your stakeholders, your business partners, your clients internally? A perfect example would be Woolworths, when the whole Madlanga thing was happening and people were, the black bag blew up. And Woolworths had an opportunity to either jump on the trend or go a definitely different route. And to make sure that their brand reputation stays clean, they made sure that there are no way associated with anything that was trending in terms of that bag. And their turnaround time was quite quick because then they started manufacturing those light gray bags which are see-through. Do you understand? So most brands sometimes jump on these trends that are going on, and sometimes it's okay to just sit it out, and sometimes it's okay to not have a voice on something. So I think that's where brands need to be careful. And also it's two ways. It's also knowing when to have a voice on something. It's also knowing when to capitalize on something. You understand? So a great example that was made today at the workshop was that when it comes to these BBLs, etc., if you have a health client or brand that you're doing, they could have had a voice, and talked about it somewhere, somehow. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's understanding your audiences and understanding exactly who you're talking to. You don't have to have a voice on or at everything.
The question: is there such a thing as bad pub? Uh,
Don't.
Sinomso, Sinomso, I like how you explain things. You explain them quite so well. So I would like you to differentiate for us the difference PR and marketing and
Thank you for that, T. Advertising and marketing are specific, right? I mean, they're specific in terms of they are data driven, they are analytically driven, and they are specific in a form of that they need to actually get leads. And you know what happens when you get leads? You need to automatically convert leads into sales, right? So yes, they also decide where the messaging will land, the audiences they're going to speak to, which is it a TVC? In terms of a TVC, is it an advert, or is it like a broadcast type of situation? And they have a budget allocated. So they are, as I mentioned, analytically driven, they are data driven, and they need to get leads. Leads they convert to sales, in terms of now you need to convert that lead that you've got in actually a sale. So you push sales when you're talking about advertising and marketing. Whereas PR moves at a totally earned perspective. You motivate, you pitch, you persuade, and public relations does not convert to sales. Public relations focuses on reputation, it focuses on brand awareness, it focuses on creating conversations about a specific brand. And whether we like it or not, these three parties do marry into each other, because whatever messaging public relations will give out, it needs to, connect to marketing, it needs to connect to advertising, because then a brand needs to communicate one messaging to their audiences. The only difference is the technicalities of what these three parties actually entail. But in an essence, they all do work together, but public relations and communications is not marketing, nor it is advertising. Marketing and advertising are also different in their own will. They do, however, work together for the good of the brand.
Oh, yeah. Now I understand. You explained it quite so. So
Yes.
you also specialize in media relay. How can business effectively build relationships with?
So businesses effectively build relationships with the media through the agencies that they hire. So initially it would be I would like to say it would be a public relations responsibility, because it also becomes a public relations personnel KPI to actually have good relationships in the media industry. And how you build this, I always say, for me, media relations is not a give and take situation. Is in a ete, I give, they give. I give, they give. Like I'd explained that you give your media publication or your specific media person that you're approaching a story that is worth their while, a story that is within their beat, a story that speaks to their audiences. And at the same time, I always say that sometimes in PR, we treat media relations as a business transaction, but these people are human. Always find the human connection, build that human connection with these people. Yet keep it professional, but bring in that human element, that kindness, so that you guys are able to compensate. What I usually do with my media partners is that on a random day, I don't even have a story that I'm pitching. I don't even have a meetup that I want from you. I just check on you. How are you? Are you okay? Are you doing well? How is work? Because whether we like it or not, media people also have deadlines just like us, also have priorities just like us, also have KPIs they need to reach just like us. So extending a little bit of grace and that human-centric approach never really hurt anyone. And for me, it has gone a long way. I mean, 7 years in PR, I still have connections that I got when I was an intern, literally. And those connections are alive and well. Even if I do not do your current beat, I check on you, because you never know. You'd never know. Maybe one day, you'd actually be the perfect media person that I need for a specific event or a specific campaign. And also because media is evolving and is forever changing. Even our media partners move to different publications or broadcast channels, and you never know, a person that you've dealt with 4 years back in lifestyle actually does business and finance this year, and that's actually what you talking to. So building those relationships is very important, understanding people and having clear pictures. What you pitch on email must be exactly what this person is going to expect, especially when you invite them to an event, for an example. Yes, you want to make it interesting for them. You want to make it catchy and worthwhile for their editor to approve, but it must be transparent and be exactly what they're going to experience when they actually get to the event. So hiring an agency that has those proper and strong media relations is important, and we're not taking away from a business that wants to build their own relationships, because that also benefits the media partners in their own way, which I'm not going to touch on it per se because it's literally not my table to sit on. But yeah, I know the benefits of businesses actually building those relationships. But today I'd like to speak on businesses making sure that the agencies that they hire do have those media relationship contacts, and how do the internal PR people in those agencies ensure that they build strong relationships and maintain those relationships. A relationship is the same, man, as friendship, as a romantic relationship, right? Because you guys check on one another. You guys ensure that one another are happy. You guys ensure that you guys do not hurt each other. It's the same as a media relationship. You don't hurt a media person by giving them an irrelevant story and then bombarding their email and asking them, why didn't you publish? Blah, 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 blah. Do you get what I'm saying? You do not put them in a position that will make it difficult for them internally to even motivate for a story. Do your research, know what these people cover. And in instances where you find, because before sending out something or pitching, research is also important. And you find what the specific person wrote about something maybe a few years ago, a few months ago. Pick up the phone and ask and say, hey, are you still covering this? Listen, do a soft pitch. There's something that we call a soft pitch, excuse me, where you actually pitch whatever on a call before you send it via email. In this instance, you're gauging interest. Do you think this will interest you? Do you think this will be worthwhile for me to send it through? And there you're able to see, you would say, okay, no, it's working or it's not going to work for them. And then you move on to another person. Or some instances, you find a new content, maybe in the media tools that we use, and it says general news, for an example. And then you send that email, and then the person responds to say, this is not within my scope, or this is not my beat. You say, thank you. I do appreciate the feedback. If I may ask, what kind of content do you cover? That's how you gauge new media and you build that relationship. So it is very, very, very important for agencies and companies to have those great media relation connections in terms of now relationship building. And it is important to understand how you build those relationships.
Oh, I see. So it's always an ongoing relationship. You don't just
Ongoing.
take one time, then
No, 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 no. Then, ooh, child, you're gonna suffer. It cannot, it cannot be, it cannot be, take this, publish it, and then it's chai. No, no, because we are a very small industry, and with our, newslet shutting down, and with podcast and influencers rising, you do need to maintain those relationships, because a person that you've maintained a relationship with can have a connection to another person that you're going to need. Understand? Oh, I actually don't do ABC, but I know who actually thrives in the speed. They cover it so well. So let me give you their contact details. When you get there, you introduce yourself and you pick up that relationship and you maintain it, as well as you've maintained the person that has passed you on. Do you get what I'm saying?
yeah, I get you. I get you. So what mistakes have you seen businesses making pitching stories to?
So again, we're gonna go back just to let you know, businesses do not pitch stories to media. That is the responsibility of a public relation person to do it. So businesses would, in my career, I've never seen a business go and pitch. We do the pitching. So in this case, the question would be, what are the mistakes that I've seen in the PR industry being done when it comes to pitching to media? Am I like, am I making
Yeah,
sense? So I think there was a piece that I wrote. Oh, also with me, I don't know what to say. I've written quite a lot of pieces myself, right? In terms of the PR space, it's reconnecting.
like,
I wrote a couple of pieces myself. I've just never sent them out or syndicated. I developed a love of writing at some stage, and it was just like pieces around what I've seen, what I've learned, what I wish we could do better, in terms of, the PR industry and looking at the media and the media landscape. And I say one important thing that has struck me that I've actually had more than one conversations about with some of my media partners is that the pitching process, um, how do you pitch? Sometimes you cannot send a press release for the sake of sending. You understand me?
Yeah.
You cannot compile a media list and then just syndicate a press release just for the sake of, I need to send it as part of my KPI. For me, it's the motivation that you tailor. Back in the days, you would write an email and say, "Good day, I trust you well," and then you attach the press release. Please see a press release for your review. And then it evolved to actually putting the press release at the body of an email, but still attaching it. And then it moved to no longer attaching the press release, but putting it in the body of the email. And one thing that has worked for me was the motivation before the press release. So I'm going to say, "Good day, I trust you well, Tippy. You know how, man, South Africans are going through ABC, da, 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 and this is the solution, blah, 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 blah. If we can look at things like ABCCC, here's the press release below that actually speaks to it." Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like for me, personalizing and that motivation must be a killer because it will give and listen, media personnel are more than welcome to actually debate me on this if I have it wrong. But my understanding is it will give you an insight, a short insight as to why this press release is valuable. Why is it suitable for you specifically as Utebi compared to a Sino? Do you understand?
Yeah.
What are you going to take from this press release? And if you need to write and tweak it a bit, how you going to do it? So it almost makes your job a bit easier than having to read 500 words and you're still trying to understand what is this actually talking to? You understand? Because I can come from client side. I know what a press release is talking to, but you, Tepi, you don't know what this press release is talking to because you don't deal with the client day to day. And I feel like it is our job to actually, give you that brief on that motivation of a press release. Why do I want you to cover this press release? Why do I think it's going to speak to your audience? I feel like that's a mistake that sometimes we do. We just send press releases and we do not give that. Guys, these people have, I don't know how many inboxes a day from different agencies, from different clients, pitching. What is unique and different about that pitch that you've just pitched, especially if news are actually saturated around that same topic? Why should I cover your press release compared to another press release, And also pitching on WhatsApp. Why are we sending our media partners PDFs on WhatsApp unless you have, that strong relationship and you tell them, you're like, "Yo, Mang, listen, please, I would like to send you something. Just have a look at it and tell me what you think." But there are instances where sometimes our PR personnel just send you, as a journalist or producer, a PDF on WhatsApp or a Word document on WhatsApp. There's no directive, there's no explanation, there's no A to B. It's just like, "Hi, I'm Sina from Kai Kai. Here's the press release." Okay, what must I do with the press release? I feel like even I, as a person, I'd ask you, what must I do? What is it about? Who's the client? Because at media's busy schedules, guys, media people are not just sitting waiting for us to send them stories. They have deadlines, they have incoming news. It's an ongoing process, even on their side. So, what are we doing as PR professionals to actually make it easy for them and ensuring that our piece is actually, chosen and covered, And it's not just a choose because I like a Sino. No, 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 no. A Sino might have a relationship, but is it relevant,
Yeah.
Is it newsworthy? Is it worth the while? So I think for me, the power of pitching is very important. And yeah, I think more and expectation. I feel like we should understand lead times in terms of media. Best believe following up a day you sent a press release or following up the next day you bombarding that poor person. Give a person a break. If they don't respond within 48 hours, that is literally like 2 days, then you may follow up. And if they don't respond within a week, then maybe get a hint. Now, as a PR person, find another solution. Okay, now this person is not covering, then let me, find another person that can cover this. And also, one thing I've noticed that I've always complained about is taking a publication or a radio broadcast or TV broadcast and then sending to 4 different people in that same company, mm, for me, that never makes sense. Because then it's not like those 4 people cover the same beat and you're speaking to a specific topic. So what are you doing sending to 5 of them where else only one of them, covers that specific topic? Like, am I making sense?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, so I think it's quite a, yeah, it is a learning. And like I said, I remember when you were telling me and I spoke about Mwekezi Mokoteli, who, I stepped into his hands when I started media relations as an intern. And those are the things that he taught me,
Yeah.
like you cannot have 100 people. Like he always said, quality is better than quantity. You cannot have 100 people that are not going to do anything for you. Rather have a top 10 or top 5 that you definitely know that they are going to give you. So having an example, at Grownish Who's, and then having 5 people that you send to something under Grownish Who's, what are the rest of the 3 or 4 gonna do about that? Because it's not relevant to them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think basics are very important. I feel like when you get into PR, understanding the basic basics of media relations is very important, because when you grow with it, you understand, you know what, with your approaches, they also need to be targeted. They need to be specific. Sometimes a soft pitch is very important, because if you have a list of 10 people and you soft pitch something, you already know it's definitely those 5. They're not gonna take it because they said they're not interested. So before you even move forward in continuing pitching, you're already replacing the 5 that said they're not interested with with more relevant targeted people. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. So I really do hope media people I can hear that you're advocating for them, because you're fighting for them.
Even for us as PR people, because if, guys, it's what I'm saying, it's relationships. I'm fighting for us as PR people, because I always say that if there's no media, then where will our work sit? So if we do the right things and we have that relationship, we're gonna do good. I would look at pieces that have done well or events that have done well. An event will do well because as a PR person and media relations person, your KPI is to bring in media. And if you understand each other, it is also good for you as a PR person, because then your job gets done well. Like, am I making sense?
You're making sense.
100%. And also, media people, holla guys. I know, holla guys, holla. But if I need my job to be great, I need those relationships. It's not a desperate need. Come on, guys. But like those relationships are important. It's like a company. You need your employers for your company to grow and to work and to be what it is. You understand? It's a yes, it's a relationship. Not
So,
to say media employers, guys, please. I'm not saying you guys are employers. It is just an example. Yes.
so we have many entrepreneurs and small businesses that don't have large PR budgets. What are some practical ways they can still build strong PR for their brands?
Mean like get I mean, if you have an internal, let's say you are a small business or an entrepreneur, right? And you have someone internally that has qualities and understands how PR works, then go for it. Then go for it. Upskill your people if they have knowledge and they have the skill set, upskill your people. And then if you don't have, I always say that there is never anything wrong with reaching out to agencies, with reaching out. I mean, in our PR industry, we have people who exist solely as freelancers, and there's no harm in reaching out and, having those conversations, having those meetings to say, I would really, really love PR. And I think the most important conversation you would have with a PR person or an agency is, what would you like to see? Where would you like PR to support you? That will then translate into what retainer or what budget you can set aside for the skill set to onboard that PR skill set. So To these young, growing entrepreneurs and young businesses, we're saying big ups, guys, you're doing great. But have those meetings, inquire, look at the budgets that you have, look at the skill set that you need, and look at what pillars you would like PR to support you on. Is it brand awareness? Is it media relations? Is it executive profiling? Take it step by step because, as I said, PR alone is an umbrella of a lot of things that are under it. And all of those things are very good for all businesses. So set up meetings, start those conversations, reach out, and just take it from there. It's always worth it.
So for those who want to do it, do PR for themselves, which tools or platforms can they use?
In terms of freelancing,
Not just doing PR for their businesses, entrepreneurs and small businesses.
girl, a tool is a person with a skill set. Tool, for me, I highly believe that when it comes to PR, a tool you can access is a person with that skill set. Because I don't shame a tool. Because now, if we were to speak of a tool, we would speak of things like AI, we would speak of like platforms. I mean, or maybe take a course, okay? Take a course, a short course around media relations, a short course around PR, and then upskill yourself. But I strongly believe that a tool you can look at, you can have as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, is a person with that skill set. That is my point of view, and that is my advice. And I beg to differ. There are people that can say, no, there's ABC, but for me, I strongly believe it is a person with that specific skill set. Or you upskill yourself, or you upskill your team internally with the short courses and enrolling and getting, because I believe so much in the basics. You understand? So for me, I say it's a person with the skill set.
So the PR industry has evolved in the past few years with digital media and social platforms. How has that changed the way PR professionals work today?
So, social media has always been a thing, guys. Social media has always been there. And again, social media has never been public relations at all. Social media has never been public relations. And I would like us to very be cautious or caution ourselves when we talk about digital PR. My sense of understanding, and again, my PR peers, my, industry peers, please, 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 please don't kill a girl. You're more than welcome to share your opinion once you hear this. But my sense is social media has always been a thing. Social media has always been there. So there has in no place where PR has been placed in a stagnant place because social media has evolved. Social media runs on its own component. Social media runs on its own industry and its own phase. So when social media evolves, it evolves for social media. For me, I never believe that it does affect public relations. Never, because it's two different industries. Hence, you'd have a social media person, a social media manager, a content manager, and you'd have a social media and you'd have a PR manager, etc., because it's two different departments, right? And then when it comes to digital media, guys, digital media for me in evolving, it just for me speaks to more accessibility and more word on the ground. Because when you look at public relations back in the day, it used to be our media outlets used to have strictly newspapers, right? So it is either you'd go buy a newspaper at a shop or a bap team who rides his bicycle will throw in a newspaper into your yard. Or when you go to town, you get a magazine and it has your stories. And then you have a radio, lapo. But now when we look at digitalization, we're looking at the digital and online platforms that more than anything, the traditional media in terms of newspapers have taken a knock because now online has actually risen up. So now you can access news anytime, anywhere, and anyhow. That is how PR has evolved. So it's for you to understand now that you're reaching a broader audience that has accessibility anywhere, anytime. It is a good thing for PR because now, if you don't have a 10 rands to buy a newspaper, you can just click on Google and search for an example, a publication. I don't want to mention publication names because I don't want to seem like I'm biased. So you can just click a publication and a story is there. And now we are able to pull and generate those links in it, building our metrics that we report to in terms of PR. We're looking at now the AVE, we're looking at now the reach. It gives us how many people it has reached. It gives us the AVE, which is like the monetary value this story is worth. You understand? Whereby I'm not sure how the metrics were recorded back in the day when it was solely newspapers, but for now, that is the evolvement for me when it comes to digital media. When people talk about digital media, the only thing it might be the evolvement of how podcasts and influencers are making a rise. And what does that mean for media outlets? Whereby I cannot necessarily speak on that because I'm not a media personnel. I am a public relations person. But when I talk about digital media, I am talking about, for me, solely speaking on PR and not looking at digitization in terms of marketing, in terms of brand, in terms of ABC. But for PR, the digital side of it are the digital platforms that we currently are able to access and communicate with. And again, open to anyone who can say, actually, Sino, this is ABC. Do you get what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
from me as so how I see it, that is how I see it.
So do you think influencers at some point will be part of the PR ecosystem in the near future?
I mean, we use influencers for our campaigns, don't we? So they are part of our campaign execution in terms of PR, in terms of raising awareness, practicality of something that we're trying to communicate to our audience. And I know sometimes people look at influencers' campaigns and they're like, they got paid, so obviously they will say a certain thing. But guys, best believe an influencer needs to align with the brand. An influencer needs to value needs to showcase the same values as maybe the brand would, advocate for. So they're not doing things just because they are paid. They're doing things because they were chosen, because they resonate with the brand. And it is only fitting for them to, communicate and raise awareness or communicate that specific narrative because it also speaks to them on a daily. Do you understand? So there are part of the PR ecosystem. We would never bank. I'd like to believe we would never bank solely on influencers. But again, we do not know what the future looks like because technology keeps on innovating. You understand what I'm saying? So those are the trends that we also need to look at to say, how do we ensure that we are also part of how the world is moving? Now, it's not even about PR specifically or social media specifically. It will be in terms of where the world is moving, which direction the world is actually moving to. And we can only see when those trends become more visible and more demanding for us to tap into. We're also going to go back the importance of knowing when to tap into things and when to just sit and allow things to happen without you tapping into. So influencers are part of the PR ecosystem because then for our campaign, sometimes we use them.
So you also have experience in crisis and reputation management, ne? So I would like to ask
Mhm.
you, when a brand faces a crisis, what should be the first step in managing the situation?
The first step in managing the situation would be, like I said in the beginning of the interview, it is always better to be proactive than reactive. But in certain instances, there are things that we do not have control over, and crisis hits midnight that we're not even expecting. And unfortunately, we would have to be reactive. So, how does a crisis hit? The first step you would do as a reputation and crisis comms manager is to make sure there is little to none news spreading even more. So you would be managing the media in terms of crisis, because then when we say a crisis has escalated in terms of a brand, it's because publications are publishing, social media is buzzing, people are talking, it's update after update. The first step you would want to do is to pour water into that fire by managing your media stakeholders to saying, hello, pause, I have a comment, I can have it to you in the next. And it needs to be very fast turnaround times. You cannot wait a day. You cannot wait 2 days. It needs to work in like hour, 2 hour intervals. And guys, again, this is Sinomso's opinion. Please don't come shoot at me. So it needs to work in very, very stretched and stressed turnaround times, because some companies and some brands that we handle, Tepiso, are global, and sometimes certain things cannot go out without global approval. So that's where you need to manage your stakeholders, because then if there is no noise, and then it means that the crisis will not escalate. So you start where the noise is. You pour water there to say, I have a comment, the brand is aware, and this is the statement. So this is your response to what is being said, to wherever the crisis is being perpetrated, to wherever it has happened. It is very, 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 very important that you tread with empathy, you tread with understanding, you tread with caution, you tread with transparency. Do not lie, do not deflect, do not be defensive. It is important to ensure that you're showing your audiences that you understand, you see, and you know what? You hear. You are with your audiences throughout this entire crisis, and you managing it. So for me, the first step would be making sure that the noise is minimal to nada. Not to say now we're going to say, don't say, don't say, don't publish, don't publish. No, you give your media people a response. You give your media people a response, because whether we like it or not, the more a crisis escalates, the narrative changes. False narratives are coming in, and then the next thing we know, the issue is blown out of proportion with no direct facts. It's just what people are getting from those sources, and sometimes we don't even know what the sources want, etc. So it is very important to make sure that you start with the noise.
So let's say we have a crisis in a company. A company has a crisis, né? Who's the first person they have to call first? Is it the lawyer or the PR professional?
That is a very good one. I remember my previous MD, she was giving a media relations workshop to one of our clients. And that question actually came up, in terms of who do you contact first? Do you contact your PR person or your lawyer? But like now, here's a question that I would pose. What will your lawyer say? And who will your lawyer speak to? Do you get me? So for me, how ideally I would see it, and I think we have done it with previous clients that I've done crisis comms with. Obviously, I cannot mention names. The first person is going to come to a journalist will reach out to a PR person, because a journalist does not know who your lawyer is. A journalist will reach out to a PR person. Now, when a PR person manages the journalist, there is a statement that will be drafted in response. However, that statement needs to go through client so that client can ensure that it goes through legal to ensure that everything is proper and it is approved. So your journalist will reach out to your PR representative for a comment. Your PR representative will have a comment, will draft a statement, but it will need to be approved. And the lawyer will need to say, sharp, sharp. Nothing is gonna, no use of words that are gonna get us in trouble. Everything is fine. You are transparent. You are good. And then it goes out. But there is no way a journalist or a reporter or an editor will reach out to a lawyer, because they do not know who those people are.
Okay, because I once had a lawyer here on the platform, and he said that you two have to collaborate. You don't just go
Exactly.
to the PR only. You have to also speak to the lawyer also. So
But I would counter and say, where would the journalist get your details? How will they know you? Especially, for an example, if you're dealing with a global company. Maybe the lawyer's in Switzerland or something. How will a journalist know you? That's why I'm saying it is a PR personal's responsibility to liaison with the lawyer, not necessarily the journalist, unless that specific journalist and reports it, because best believe, guys, those guys are good and they do their researches and they find your contact somewhere, somehow. But 95% of the time, a journalist or reporter will reach out to a media, a PR representative, and the PR representative will liaison with the lawyer. They will work together on it and ensure that it is good, it is sharp. You can go out with this, and then they report back to the journalist.
Okay, but I was referring from the brand's perspective, not from the journalist's perspective.
As in the brand. So when you say brand, are you referring to agency? Are you referring to us as PR professionals?
No, as the company that you'll be
What do you mean?
representing.
Okay, please phrase that question again. Maybe I did not understand you.
I asked as Chepiso, ne, I'm a brand, I'm a company, ne, and we have a crisis, ne, at the company. So who's the first person that I have to contact first? Is it the lawyer or the PR professional in handling the situation?
You contact us both.
Oh, okay.
Remember also, Tepi, crisis is time sensitive. So you cannot wait for this one to say, cool, talk to the PR person. And in most cases, we would know as a PR person when a crisis hit before sometimes a lawyer knows. So chances are by the time you call me, I'm actually calling you to say, hello, we have a crisis. So at that time, you need to be reaching out to your lawyer because I'm already aware of the crisis. Because it's time sensitive, is no necessarily lead time. We need to be reactive, if not as soon as possible, immediately, to make sure that we combat this crisis blowing out of proportion. So it is a very time sensitive hour or time in terms of we need to action now. So also remember, even brands do not have one person responsible for something. It's different people internally that know who they address. They know which parts of the organ they take care of inside the brand. So while the people are talking to the lawyer, my contact person internally on brand side is contacting me, and then we marry these two together and we ensure that we are solid. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's no necessary say, no, we need to wait. We're going to go ask that one and then we're going to go back. That crisis is very sensitive. Everything needs to be done simultaneously, like right now. Am I making sense?
You're making sense. I understand. So how important is speed versus accuracy in crisis communication?
Both are. Nothing, because Mamela, you cannot be fast and report on something that's inaccurate. You're going to burn your business. You're going to hurt yourself as a business. So that's why I'm saying it's time sensitive. Every organ of the business comes together. When this one is reviewing and checking, this one is approving. It's a hierarchy thing. It's a list of when it comes from there, it needs to go here, it needs to go here, it needs to go here, and then it can go to media. So speed and accuracy are gonna be working quite close together, because then sometimes when you do certain things too fast, you end up doing a lot of mistakes because you're not putting accuracy at the forefront, because this thing is time sensitive. But unfortunately, when it comes to crisis, speed and accuracy need to be together. They need to be at 100. If one is on a 150, both of them need to be at a 150, because then what we take out to try and try and solve that crisis and try and keep our customers or consumers, calm. It needs to be accurate. It needs to be factual. It needs to align with the brand, and it needs to represent the brand in a in a nutshell. So it cannot be inaccurate. It cannot even have a simple thing as a spelling error. It cannot.
So can a crisis ever become an opportunity for a brand to rebuild trust?
I mean, it always is, because when a crisis hits, trust always becomes a big thing. Like, how do I trust this organization now, because now this has happened? But in a manner that you respond, in a manner that resolution is provided, that can retain the trust that was already is, and even build trust to certain customers, potential customers that were not yet your customers. Because remember, when crisis hits, everybody knows. Even a Tepiso that was not using a Sinomso's wallet knows that money disappears when people buy Sinomso's wallet, for an example, So the solution that you provide will also touch a Tepiso and say, wow, so this is the solution. Da, 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 da. Oh, so maybe it was also incorrect. That's how the crisis, blew up, blah, 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 blah. And by that, you also get a customer because of how you resolved it and the solution that was provided. And this person now can say, I actually want to go use Sinomso's wallets. So definitely, crisis comes, does retain trust, and does also stand a chance of growing trust from even customers that were not even yours at that point. That is how I believe it. Like I always said that when I look at crisis comms and crisis management, I look at it from my perspective because I am a customer to every brand technically out there. I am a customer to brands that I represent because I am very brand focused. A brand I represent, I become a customer because I want to understand what an end user, gains. It makes it easier for me to understand the target audiences I will be speaking to because I will be a target audience myself. You understand? So that's why I say always look at it. I always look at it from I'm a customer and what would I would like to hear or see in this situation. So yeah, I do believe that sometimes a crisis stands a chance of rebuilding trust, retaining trust, and also having more people trust in that brand that did probably not trust on it before.
So I have a question. I don't know if you will want to answer it. Maybe the brand is also your client or something. It's the it's the bank, the blue bank. Uh, about what's happening with it right now. Can I ask all?
Well, let's ask. Let's hear the question.
So currently, the blue bank has been on the news. I think it's for the second time about how they treat their black clients. The first time it was about the mortgages. In terms of mortgage bonds, the interest rates they found that they're quite higher for black people than other races. And now I think they were on the news about money disappearing from their black
Mm.
clients. So in terms of that, how does one handle that crisis?
I mean, has Standard Bank said anything?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't know.
No, they haven't. So already that's a ball being dropped. The only thing that we're seeing from the news or whatever is trending is that it's the people sharing emails, like the victims sharing emails of the responses from bank. But has bank released a statement? They haven't. I haven't seen one. Has bank held a press conference and addressing these things? I haven't seen one. I remember there was I was because I was following the news quite well, and I remember when that crisis hit, we were all up in arms, like what is happening? And there was a lady that shared a screenshot of the bank whereby they had said that they could not recover certain funds of a specific account holder, but they gave them I think 1.9 million as a token of distress, blah 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 blah. Where they did they consider what would that look like to the public? Because it could have looked like, are we being bribed? Are we told to keep quiet? Do they actually know where the money is going? So now they're just giving us a token to say, hush, So for me, first thing and foremost, in such situations when they happen, because if people have been experiencing issues with your organization, it can be 2 years back. If another issue hits now, those people are gonna come back and continue to, raise those things. I feel like in this case, it would have been they should have been proactive about it. They should have been comments, statements, ways forward should this hit the ground. Because I do believe from what we've been seeing going around, these people have had back and forth with the specific organization to say, this is what has been happening. You guys are not assisting us. And one thing I've noticed about people is that before they go to media or social media, they will tell you that if you're not assisting me, I will be forced to go to the media or social media to try and get your attention. So proactive crisis management would have helped. And in terms where proactive crisis management did not do or was not considered reactive, a reactive approach would have worked for the specific conversation. Have you sent out something to us? Have you been visible in acknowledging what's been happening as the organization? Have you said that, okay, we are looking into it and we're going to find a resolution? And the resolution cannot come 2 weeks later. It needs to be a day later, at least, to say, these are the findings, but we are working closely with the affected victims, da 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 da. Because in that form, we will not have access to the screenshots that we currently have access to. You get what I'm saying? So I think in this case, specific organization would have been important for them to do a proactive comms because they saw it emerging, they saw it coming. Such situations, you see them coming, T. You see them. And in instances where you decided to not do anything, how was your reaction to it? Because we're still sitting and we're still like, yo, we wonder where it ended up. We wonder what the organization said. Did you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Or maybe they're not saying anything because the outrage is only on social media. It's not on the grounds and all that.
What do you mean? We all know about it. That's a crisis.
Maybe they'll say something. I don't know. Hopefully they'll speak.
Hopefully. Because from where I'm sitting, when it hit, I had to call friends that I know had just opened those things. You
Oh,
know, they just became customers of that organization. And I was like, hey, do you see what's happening? Where do you get what I'm saying? For
yeah.
as long as we know, whether it's on social media or it's on media, it will start affecting your loyal customer base because we're gonna call each other and we're gonna say, do you think it's safe? Do you think you are right to be where you are? Do you understand what I'm saying? And if you guys are quiet, we're not anything. Guys, that's what I'm saying. The danger of crisis management that is not managed is that it blows out of proportion, and sometimes certain narrative also start building, and now those narratives become our narratives that we just start talking about to say, yeah, it's true, technically they will do it to you also, don't leave it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because now it's quiet, so it doesn't have to be on the news for you to treat it as a crisis. That is a crisis on its own.
You said that you are also you're also a client for the brands that you represent. You're a customer you're also a customer that for the brands that you represent. So I was asking that when maybe the brand maybe misbehave or maybe has bad customer relations, something like that, do you also go to that brand and say like, hey, you have to fix this and that?
No, they did not hire me to do that.
Okay, I got quickly look. I heard that you also a customer of the brands that you represent. I thought
Yeah.
maybe if they don't fall in line, you do something.
T, our skill set, please pay us and we'll advise. It's simple. I can only complain as a customer and say, especially if it affects me negatively, because also it's a blurred line. I cannot come in now and do your PR's job where else you have people for that. Do you get? Yes, I am a customer. I cannot just waive my position at brands and say, do you know who I am? I know this is not supposed to work like this. Da, 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 da. No, I come in as a customer. And if I'm affected, I am going to tell you, I am affected as a customer of ABC and DDD. And I'll follow the correct processes. If I need to log a complaint on Hello Peter, because I know my rights and I know the correct processes to go to, I will log a complaint on Hello Peter. If you don't resolve it from Hello Peter, I will go to the ombudsman. Do you understand? But I cannot wave my pen and my stature and say, because I'm ABC, you better act right. No, no. For me, I don't think it's ethical for me to do that. But I will complain as a customer to say, listen, the way that I'm being treated, the service that I'm receiving, how everything has been going on, I'm not happy with it. I'm not happy because of A, B, C, and D. Do you get what I'm saying? For an example, I had a situation at the Department of Labor, right? That situation was very detrimental. It stood to affect me in a very negative way. And a friend of mine, actually, a very beautiful and wonderful media partner, had to step in and escalate it for me, but only because that specific department was already, investigation to say, you guys had not provided feedback to us, and now you are doing the same thing to this specific individual. Do you get me?
Yeah, I do.
So that's how it got escalated, and then we had the correct people stepping in to say what is happening. Da 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 da. Da. However, I would I would not go and wave my stand in my career to say I am ABC and I'm saying this is not right and this is how it's gonna affect you, so you better do it right. I would trade as a customer. Me being a brands and how I deal with things, it's to make it easier for me to know how I would these people would like to receive information, because that's probably how I would also like to receive information. But I would not wave my stanchion and say, "Hello, I'm here. Do right." No,
You don't misuse your powers, your superpowers.
no, I don't misuse no, I don't misuse my authority. I don't misuse my power. I can sit there and know exactly what's gonna come for you, but I would not wave it onto your face. It's not ethical. You know what? You as a person, as a PR person, you are also a brand. You also need to uphold your reputation, because whatever brands that you are representing, when you walk down there, that's what people will see. So if you start acting in a negative way, it will affect the brands that you are representing. So you need to always keep yourself at 100.
So, as someone working closely with media and brands, what trends do you see shaping the future of PR?
The trends that I see shaping the future of PR would be, I think we are also, yeah. We are seeing how AI is kind of like moving in and taking over everything. But I would not necessarily say it's a trend that could take over PR, because, guys, even with AI, even with technology, even with everything that seems to be trendy and taking over the world, needs a human element to prompt it. Am I making so you can use AI to better or for convenience sake, but AI cannot do the job that you do, because at the end of the day, you prompt AI to do what you want it to do. Do you get what I'm saying? Even this high tech evolution things, you prompt them on what they need to do, and then they just simply fire it for you. The trends that I would not say they would take over PR. It would just be for us as PR to marry ourselves into their space and see how we, win in their space. It would be definitely the rise of podcasts and, and the rise of influencers, because now some influencers are taking on being advisors, ABC, so I would say I would not use the term take over, but I would rather use the term marry into their industry. Like, how do we show up as PR in this, podcast growing industry or landscape? How do we marry as PR into this influencer growing media landscape, But otherwise, taking over public relations, we're still here to stay, because PR is human centered and it is human driven. So anything evolving, and I'm all for innovation, I'm all for, high tech and resolutions, etc. But they will need a human form to prompt it and tell it what to do. So I stand on that. And in 10 years down the line, Tepi, if anything happens, you're more than welcome to take me back to the podcast and say, see, no, please. But I stand on it. I really believe that nothing could ever take over. We just need to marry ourselves into what the world is changing into and see how we're showing up as public relations and not taking anything away from us as public relations.
So, for young people, who might be considering a career in PR, communications, or media relations, what advice would you give them?
Take it because you love it and you are passionate about it. PR people, like I said in the beginning, people look at public relations as if, it's all fun and games. They just host events, most of those people. They just wake up and they go to ENCA. It's not that difficult. Guys, public relations is work. You work. There's a lot that goes into PR and then only the good that you guys see from the outside. Like we always say, public relations is the underdog, behind the scenes superstars. So what you see is the end product, and everything and anything that goes into that before it becomes an end product, it's a lot of work. So go into it because you love it. Don't go into it because you're seeing the nice things that you're seeing. Go into it because you understand it and you're passionate about it. Because in cases where you take crisis comp and there's a sleepless night, you won't have an issue because it's passion that drives you to do it. You love your job. You're not going in, you're not taking it because I need a job and I need to get paid. You're taking it because this career path also chose me. So go for it. Be big on research. Be big on understanding what the landscape looks like, especially current news. Be big in understanding media. Understand the media landscape. So technically research, research, research. Call, call, call. Find out, find out, find out, and set yourself up, for success. Initially, set yourself up for success and go for it. But always choose a career path because you love it, you understand it, and you're passionate about it so that it does not become a drain and it does not become a nightmare to you.
So, what skills should they start developing earlier? You
Oh,
also mentioned that communication. I remember you spoke about encoding and decoding.
yes. Oh, Miss Mavimbela, shout out to you wherever you are, ma'am. I still love you. I'd say report, 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 and understanding of different audiences and how to communicate for different audiences. I mean, and also how to tailor to specific brands, because there are instances where you can handle 7 brands, 5 brands, 3 brands at the same time, and you need to understand that brand A's approach is not going to work for brand B's approach. And brand A does not speak to the same people brand B speaks to. Communication is at a high level because your job will entail communication. So those skills, soft skills, communication, how you speak to people, how you respond on emails, how you interact, with your peers, it is very important. You really, really, really need to work on those soft skills. You need to acquire those soft skills and how to deal with difficult people, customers, whether it's audiences, whether it's you need to be able to handle those difficult situations, because sometimes you need to educate and say, I think this is the approach that will need to work. And then client will say, but I don't see how this approach will work. And then you say, but here are the stats, here's the data, here is the past campaigns, da 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 da. This is why it's gonna work. So also the most important thing that I actually developed later while I was already mid-career is emotional intelligence. That is very, very, very important. Emotional intelligence in this career path is very important. So that's what I would advise young individuals that want to step into public relations and want to run with media relations, events, activations, etc. Those are the skills that I would think would be important to possess.
So, in terms of the corporate ladder, with the PR qualification, how high up can one go up the corporate ladder?
Business unit director, bro.
Come again?
Business unit, you can go up to be a business unit director or a group director. That's how high you can go up.
Oh, that's dope.
You can even go up and being a managing director of that specific agency.
Oh yeah, true.
So it's quite good. But also, do not come in on PR and chase the titles, chase the knowledge, chase the skills, chase the basics. Ensure you equip yourself with as much knowledge as you can. Learn from the younger ones that are coming in, because they're coming in fresh with new ideas, with new things. Keep the older people that have been there, because they're coming with discipline, they're coming with long-term resolutions that have worked. So don't come in and chase titles in terms of the hierarchy. You're going to set yourself up for failure. Allow those to come in naturally because of the work that you know. Because with every title, the higher you go, the more knowledge and the more ways of doing things you need to have. So come in here with the spirit of learning, with the spirit of growing, with the spirit of, just infusing yourself with knowledge and skills. And then hierarchies and titles will follow automatically.
Okay, so even at the monetary value, you shouldn't focus on it.
The what?
Monetary value, money, what?
Ngcepe, so Ramaphosa's economy. But also here's the blurred line, or here where the tricky part is, Also with every, obviously, the more you grow inside the company in terms of a title, the more the monetary aspect will be given suitably for market related, right? So do not jump ship from one title to another because you want to increase the monetary value, but you do not have the necessary skills or knowledge to actually move in that specific position. Yes, we understand the economy we live in is not one of the best economies and everything keeps on hiking. But now with the war, things are about to hike higher. Do not make the mistake of jumping from one position to another without acquiring the skills just because you're looking at the monetary value. Yeah, it is a tricky situation, but unfortunately, you're going to set yourself up for failure when you get there and you do not know what to do, and then things become a mess just because you were chasing what? The monetary value.
So, Sinomso, you're close to touching a decade in your field, ne? When you reflect on your journey so far in PR and communications, what are you most proud of?
It is actually closer to a decade. How many years do I have left? 3. Wow, Tippy, I never thought of it like that. But I am proud of the woman I have become. Oh, in my career, I am proud. And most importantly, I remember, you know what I did when I left college? I wrote down a list of companies that I wanted to work for, right? And I had always told myself that if I don't work for you internally, I will represent your brand, And my list is done, Tebi. My list has been ticked off.
That's dope.
I've worked closely with the most amazing brands. I'm talking from Diesel to Super Dry. I'm talking from Red Bull. I'm talking from Canon SA. I'm talking from Peanut to Carrier Junction. I'm talking from Tetra Pak to from Philip Morris, from Discam, from Baby City. I've worked with the most amazing brands, and they have the most amazing people to work with. I've literally touched on every brand I've ever dreamed of. And funny how I've never worked for those brands internally. I was just the person that was pioneering in PR for them. I represented their brands in this huge media landscape. And that for me, I sit sometimes in awe and, with a very grateful attitude and mind, and looking at the grace of God that, you know what, he has given me that opportunity to have actually lived my dream. So that's what I'm proud of. I'm proud of that. Every brand I have written down before, one way or another, we have shaken hands.
Yeah.
We have been in the same boardrooms. So yeah.
You mentioned that you got the opportunity to work with all the brands that you were that you wish to work with when you were in college. Have you created a new list now?
I cannot speak this in a podcast. I think more importantly, it's a path that I'm taking, but still within PR and still within communications. But it's a slightly different path compared to, yes, the path that I had when I left schools. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think I'm good. It's a more deeper path.
So what legacy do you want to leave PR?
The legacy I'd like to leave in PR for me would be kindness and an easy person to work with, and a person that gets things done, a reliable person, both internally and externally. That is the legacy I'd like to leave. A person that produces quality work. And I pray and hope people that know me, people that have worked with me, can attest to the legacy that I want to leave. And if I have not started, may God give me the grace to work hard and make sure that I start now. That's the legacy I want to leave.
And that brings us to the end of our conversation with Sinomso Ngcepe. Before I let you go, do you have any maybe last words you want to share? Anything you want to share?
I would like to say, always be the person that you've always wished you had in your career. Spread kindness, learn from one another, be open to new ways of working. But most importantly, upskill, you know, mentor people if you have to step into this career. Because guys, I spoke about a few people that have mentored me, and if that's okay with you, Tepi, and not being biased to anyone, right? Starting from school, I had a Mrs. Mavimbela, and you know what? She was amazing. I also had was it Tosi, but she left while I was doing my second year, and the person that started varsity and ended with me was the likes of Mrs. Mavimbela. You know, those people, they inspire you to do great, encourage you, they motivate you, they start you young, in pioneering the woman that you would like to be. They give you an energy of the sky is not even the limit. Go for it. You are capable, you know what I'm saying? And then you step into the likes of Abuti Tabang Bubabe, who you go into a school and you don't even know what to do, where to go, how to access things, and they encourage you throughout your varsity years. It's someone that sits at the front desk to tell you, like I said, that I wanted to do psychology, and he gave me public relations. And he's with you throughout your career of public relations. There was an article that Rosebank once wrote about me. I don't even know where the article is now. This was back in 2022. It's people that are there who believe so much in you, and you actually become a product of how they've believed in you for. You step into the career, you find the likes of Moketsi Mukoteli, Abutuaka, my big brother, thank you so much. The likes of Rifule Makamedi, people who believe in you, people who train you, who hold your hand and make sure that you run with it because they believe so much in you. They infuse you with knowledge, they infuse you with skills, they give you the chance to say, show up and show off. You are capable. Looking at people like, I always say, my previous MD, Jennifer Stein, or I've never met a woman as structured as that woman. And I would always say, oh my God, she's finicky even with the tiniest details. And she taught me things like the little things matter. That one little thing that you're like, hi, Tepiso won't notice. It's exactly what Tepiso will notice. It's exactly what will make Tepiso believe in you. To produce great work, to be ethical. It's the people that you meet in your journey that make your journey worthwhile. Come to my current boss, Miss J. What a wonderful lady. What a smart lady. That woman is smart beyond. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I just look at her and be like, girl, take your brain and put it in mine. Let's see how I'm going to do because I just want your brain. So for me, that is my thing to say. In this career journey, as young Black women, it is, be there for each other. As young Black individual, not putting race into anything, but be able to give others the ladder of where you are. It will not harm you. It will not take anything away from you. If you have an opportunity or a chance to mentor, pour into someone else's cup so that they grow, please do so, because people look at me and people think, I always laugh. My friends like to go to my LinkedIn page and laugh and say, Sino, this is not you. We know you very well. This is not you. They're like, "I LinkedIn, you're a bit serious, man. Are you sure, man?" You know, because I'm quite a clown apparently. Like I laugh a lot and I
Yeah.
joke a lot, but it's people that have been with me throughout my journey till this day. That have poured into my cup to being who I am today. So for me, I would say pour in people's cups. Start them from varsity, start them from college, pour in people's cups. If you have the capacity and you have the skill to do so, make sure when you leave a room, there's a colleague of mine, I call her Askia currently, and she likes to say when she leaves a room or leaves a pay, she gets happy knowing that she did not leave a person the same. Somewhere, somehow, she was able to educate or teach. And not infuse something in that specific person. So when you leave rooms or places, make sure that you leave them not how you've entered them. So that would literally be it for me.
Before I let you go, do you also do mentorship or is something that you're looking to do?
I mean, I'm always open to helping in any way, in any form I can help. If a person reaches out, I'm more than willing to help in any way I could possibly help you. It's always open because that helped me. Onati, let me tell you something. I used to randomly like text people on LinkedIn and say, hello, can you help me with ABC? Can you mentor me? I want to know how this works. I want to know, like, I've done that a lot on LinkedIn. And in some cases, that's how I'd even get some of my jobs, you know? So definitely.
Sinomso, Sinomso, thank you for taking the time to share your journey, to share your insights with us. You shared so much with us, and I hope what you shared with us will actually, there's a word that I'm looking for. I will impact someone to do something also. And to everyone listening or watching, thank you for being part of In Conversation. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to share it with someone who is interested in branding, media, or the world of public relations. Until next time,